Hi everyone, I'm Debbie Roberts, owner and financial advisor at Property Apprentice. Join us today for the Week in Review, where I talk about current events for the everyday investor and home buyer. Our topics for this week: first up, from RNZ on the 21st of October, landlords respond to research criticism on occupancy limits. Topic number 2, from One News on the 23rd of October, exemption allowing granny flats to be built consent-free passes into law. Topic number 3, from interest.co.nz on the 22nd of October, Trade Me Property says the balance of power between tenants and landlords is shifting in tenants' favour. Topic number 4, from New Zealand Herald on the 22nd of October, why you might need $1 million to retire in a big city. Topic number 5, from Stuff on the 23rd of October, 700 property owners in limbo, millions at stake while council and government play the blame game. So first up for this week in review, from RNZ on the 21st of October, landlords respond to research criticism on occupancy limits. Researchers are urging a review of rental occupancy limit rules, arguing that current restrictions are raising housing costs, forcing families to live separately, and making it harder for people to access housing. The study, conducted by the University of Otago's Housing and Health Research Program, analysed rental listings on Trade Me for 1 month. It found that landlords commonly set restrictive limits, typically allowing only one more person than the number of bedrooms, e.g. 6 people in a 5-bedroom house. This practice is leading to larger homes being underused. The study suggests that occupancy limits should be reviewed to better align with public health guidelines and ultimately make living costs more affordable for tenants. Under the current Residential Tenancies Act, landlords are legally permitted to determine the occupancy limits for their rental properties. I'm not sure what the reason would be for a landlord to restrict the number of tenants in a property, other than if they were renting it out by the room, in which case they would be wanting to avoid, triggering the boarding house scenario by having more than 5 tenants in a property. But apart from that, I can't see why they would restrict that. There must be something that I'm missing. Topic number 2, from One News on the 23rd of October, exemption allowing granny flats to be built consent-free passes into law. Legislation has been passed that will allow New Zealand homeowners to build granny flats up to 70 square metres in size without needing a building consent, with the new regulation set to take effect in the first quarter of 2026. To qualify for this exemption, the dwellings must be simple in design, meet the building code, and be constructed by professional builders. Homeowners will still be required to notify their local council both before starting and upon completing the work. RMA Minister Chris Bishop stated that the new regulations, which were part of the National New Zealand First Coalition Agreement, are expected to ease the cost of living by providing more housing options for various groups, including grandparents, people with disabilities, and rural workers. To further support the change, Bishop said that the government will update the national direction under the Resource Management Act to remove the need for resource consents for these flats, which he expects to be in place by the end of the year. Building and Construction Minister Chris Pink indicated that the changes are forecast to deliver around 13,000 new granny flats nationwide over the next decade, which won't have a significant impact on the housing market, in my opinion, but it can certainly help with a number of different scenarios. Pink noted that this will increase work for builders and free up local councils to focus on more complex projects. Associate Finance Minister Shane Jones added that the changes will benefit extended families, companies providing staff accommodation, and small communities. The article notes that any building work already in progress or starting before the exemption takes effect will still require a building consent. It is important to understand that with this new regulation passing, you still need to notify council before you start the process and also at the point of completion. Then the devil will be in the detail. I think it is going to depend on how much input the council has at that point of notification as to whether they will allow it to go ahead or not. For example, if there's not enough infrastructure to support an additional dwelling, they might be able to say no, or if it is in a red zone, for example, due to flooding risk or whatever, they may potentially be able to turn down that application at that point. But we'll see how it all comes out once they update the Resource Management Act to co-align with this. Topic number 3 from interest.co.nz on the 22nd of October. Trade Me Property says the balance of power between tenants and landlords is shifting in tenants' favour. The rental housing market is continuing to shift in favour of tenants, marked by an increase in supply and a decline in asking rents. According to Trade Me Property's September data, the number of homes available for rent on the site was up 6.3% compared to September last year, while the median advertised rent saw a decline of 1.6% over the same period. Demand from prospective tenants also fell, with property searches down 1%. The spokesperson for Trade Me Property, Casey Wild, stated that this increased supply is responsible for the downward pressure on rental prices. The largest annual decline in median advertised rents was recorded in the Wellington region, down 7%, followed by Northland, down 6.5%, Marlborough down 3.4%, and Hawke's Bay down 3.1%. Canterbury was the only region to see a year-on-year increase in advertised rents, rising by 1.8%. The report concluded that the increased supply, combined with a marginal drop in national searches, suggests that the balance of power across the country now favours tenants at the moment. Topic number 4 from the New Zealand Herald on the 22nd of October, why you might need $1 million to retire in a big city. New retirement expenditure guidelines from Massey University for 2025 show that retirees are increasingly struggling with costs, with many needing to significantly top up their New Zealand super payments. The research details that all types of retired households are spending more each week than they receive from the pension. The report calculates significant weekly shortfalls for various retirement lifestyles. Single person with a no-frills lifestyle needs to top up by about $166.92 a week in metro centres and $42.33 in provincial areas. Single persons with choices in retirement would need to top up by about $252.20 a week in metro centres. Two-people households requiring a top-up ranging from $109.04 a week for no-frills metro to a substantial $951.95 a week for a choices lifestyle in a big city. Report lead associate Professor Claire Matthews highlighted that council rates and food expenses are major issues driving these shortfalls. She noted that rising rates are a key unavoidable cost for homeowners and a source of anxiety, with cumulative increases over the last 3 years, ranging from 20% to 47% in major centres like Auckland and Wellington. The report calculated the lump sums needed to fund these lifestyles, showing that single people in metro areas require savings between $181,000 for no-frills and $273,000 in choices. Two-person households pursuing a choices life in a metropolitan area would need over $1 million. Matthews stated that KiwiSaver, if started early enough, would be sufficient to help most people reach the required savings. I would put a sideline to that saying as long as they're in a decent KiwiSaver fund, because there's some really rubbish ones out there, then make sure you get some help with your KiwiSaver. Modelling showed that someone who begins contributing in their early 20s can still reach the lump sum needed for a modest retirement, even after withdrawing around $75,000 for their first home. However, she warned that those who delay joining until their 40s or 50s will find the gap much harder to close. Matthews also suggested that the high number of people making hardship withdrawals from KiwiSaver might indicate that the process is a bit too easy, causing people to rob their future selves. She concluded that while life is getting harder for retirees, some are still managing on just the pension, though it may not be the retirement lifestyle that they desire. If you know someone who's struggling in retirement, get them to talk to a financial advisor to help them through that process. they might qualify for something like a reverse mortgage or something similar that could help them through the next few years. Topic number 5 from Stuff on the 23rd of October, 700 property owners in limbo, millions at stake, while council and government play the blame game. The withdrawal of Auckland Council's Plan Change 78, PC 78, and its medium density residential standards, or MDRS, has left approximately 700 property owners and developers in limbo, with millions of dollars in projects now in disarray. The council voted to withdraw PC 78 after the government amended the Resource Management Act, the RMA, to allow councils to change residential development rules. However, the resulting uncertainty is due to a lack of transitional arrangements for projects already underway that relied on the MDRS component. The issue has sparked a dispute between Auckland Council and the central government. Auckland Council's Director of Policy, Planning and Governance, Megan Tyler, stated that the government's RMA amendment did not include transitional arrangements, making the legal basis for the 700 existing projects unclear. She said the council was urging the government to prioritise a legislative fix to provide certainty. However, Housing Minister Chris Bishop disagreed, stating that Auckland Council already possesses the ability to solve the problem under the RMA and encourages them to act quickly. Bishop also noted that the council had not raised any issues regarding impacts on existing consent holders when advocating for the ability to withdraw PC 78. In response, Auckland Council's General Manager of Planning, John Dogood, maintained that legal advice suggests the council does not have the means to resolve the issue in all cases, and it's working with the Ministry for the Environment for a resolution. The situation's having a severe financial impact on homeowners and developers. The Gray family, for example, spent about $100,000 and 2 years developing plans for their new house, only to have their construction start unexpectedly halted. Another affected couple estimated that the 700 consents represent up to $70 million in costs already spent on applications and planning, and potentially $700 million in construction projects now in disarray. They emphasised that many people undertaking this activity are regular people, working hard to build a good life. Whether you're a first-time buyer or an experienced investor, you need more than just hope. You need a roadmap. Join us on one of our free events called How to Succeed with Property Investing. These events are all available online, so you can gain valuable insights and strategies regardless of where you live in New Zealand, tailored to today's market conditions. Whether you're an experienced investor or just getting started, even as a first home buyer, this free session will equip you with the key tools and insights to make confident, informed decisions. Don't miss out. Register today and take the next step towards achieving your financial success. In our free events, I'll also tell you more about how we could help you, if you were a client of ours, to achieve your investing goals. So if you're interested in finding out more about how we can help you, visit propertyapprentice.co.nz today and register now. If you've already been to one of our free events and want to know more about how we can help you on your journey, book a no-obligation phone call or meeting with my husband, Paul Roberts, through our website. That's propertyapprentice.co.nz. Thanks for listening. Hey there, want to stay on top of the latest property news and trends? Subscribe to the Property Apprentice podcast for weekly updates that will help you to navigate the market like a pro. We cover everything from insider tips to expert interviews, so you'll always be in the know. And don't forget to ring the bell and hit that subscribe button here on our YouTube channel for even more helpful content to boost your property journey. Check out the link in the description to subscribe to the podcast, and we'll see you in the next episode. Happy investing.